Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to see you. And this is the first 2021 and the summer adult and study and discussion class. I'm very excited and thank you very much for coming. And let me share my screen and I want to explain that the service order. Can you see okay? Give me a thumb. Okay, see, right. Thank you very much. So today is July 25. Yes, we do Gassho first, and then let's chant in Sambutsuge together. I hope you can see the screen. And then I will do about 30 minutes class talking about Pure Land and history and essentials. And then we open up the discussion and then closing Gassho. All right, so please join me, Gassho, please. Put your hands together. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Now we are going to chant a Sambutsuge. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. 力少少欲、実法生存、知恵無下、上量子孫、知我信用、軽量心死、食毒中、画行精進、忍辱刑、ナモンダブ、ナモンダブ、ナモンダブ、ナモンダブ、ナモンダブ、ナモンダブ。万里しく毒、平等性祭、道本菩提心、往生らこく。Namanda, Vachnamanda, 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 Vachnamanda. Amida, Vachnamanda, Vachnamanda, Vachnamanda. Thank you very much for joining the Sambutsuge this morning, praising the Buddha. Right? So I'd like to start talking about my theme today is Pure Land Buddhism, and particularly history and essentials. I don't know how much I can cover within a short class today, but I do my best. And more and more, I think it's very important to understand the Pure Land Buddhism in the category of Mahayana Buddhism, to understand the Shinran's teaching. So in the past 2 decades, there has been an increased awareness about the Pure Land Buddhism as a major development of East Asian Mahayana Buddhism in America. While Zen Buddhism, as you know, is already known in the West, and Pure Land Buddhism and the practices involving that Buddha of infinite light, which is Amitabha Buddha, has been very popular and prevalent in East Asia, and then widespread in other areas, including Tibet and Vietnam. So Pure Land Buddhism offers a way to enlightenment for everyone, particularly people who cannot handle the subtleties of meditation and endure the long ritual, sometimes at a Buddhist school chanting 1 hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, or just live especially good lives. The total concentration, trusting the one who will be reborn in Pure Land, which is a place where it is much easier for a being to work toward enlightenment. Pure Land Buddhism adds mystical elements to the basic Buddhist teaching, which makes those teachings easier to work with. These elements include faith and trust, and a personal relationship with Amida Buddha that leads ordinary people like me to the realm of universal liberation and supreme nirvana. So in this summer class, I'd like to talk about that, as I said, is these contents. And this is Pure Land Buddhism, essential Pure Land Buddhism, which is the foundation of Shinran's teaching called Shin Buddhism. And then first, I'd like to talk about introduction of Pure Land Buddhism and history, and Amitabha, which is Amida Buddha in context, in his story, narrative story, and then Pure Land essential, particularly the relationship between Nembutsu and faith, and understanding the Pure Land discourse, and then maybe we can open up the discussion. First, introduction of Pure Land Buddhism in history. Pure Land Buddhism was developed in Mahayana Buddhism in India. Let me see, I can see. Right. India around the 1st century Common Era. It spreads in China, where there was a strong belief in Amitabha by the 2nd century in Common Era, particularly in China, and then widespread to Japan around the 6th century. So Pure Land Buddhism receives a major boost in its popularity in the 12th century with a simple, some kind of simplification made by Honen. Honen is the first Pure Land monk and scholar in Buddhism, Pure Land Buddhism in Japan, and he is a teacher of Shinran, founder Shinran. And Pure Land Buddhism took off Japan when the monk, as I said, Honen was born 1133, early 12th century, simplified the teaching and practices so that anyone could cope with. He illuminated the intellectual difficulties and complex meditation practice, which was a norm in other Buddhist schools. Honen taught that rebirth in the Pure Land was certain when anyone who recites the name, Amida's name, with complete trust and sincerity. Honen said all that needs to is just saying Namo Amida Butsu with a conviction that one will certainly attain a birth in the Pure Land by saying it. So Honen made a form of Buddhism accessible to anyone, even they are, doesn't matter you understand Buddhism and not understand Buddhism, illiterate or educated, uneducated. It's sort of like Pure Land Buddhism is for everyone, ordinary people. Honen didn't simplify the Buddhism through patronizing the attitude to inferior people. He believed that most people, including him, couldn't achieve liberation through any of our activities. The only way to achieve Buddhahood was through the help of Amida Buddha, Buddha of Amitabha and Amitayus, which is the Buddha of immeasurable light and life, wisdom and compassion. A century later, Shinran was born. 40 years later, Honen, 1173, the disciple Honen, brought a new understanding of the Pure Land idea, and this became a foundation of Shin Buddhism. We call it Shin Buddhism in West. So Shin Buddhism liberation is a consequence of a person achieving genuine faith in Amitabha Buddha, and its universal Buddha's vow efficacy to liberate all beings from the cycle of birth and death. This is sort of like a mutual relationship, me and Amida, me and Buddha Dharma. So let's go into Amitabha. Actually, is Amida Buddha in context and narrative story. The Pure Land Buddhism school emphasizes the important role played in liberation of Amitabha that is also called Amitayus, which is a immeasurable life. And people who sincerely call on Amitabha for help will be born in Skavati, which is a pure land of the Western paradise, where there is no destruction and where they can continue to work toward liberation under the most favorable conditions. The nature of Amitabha is neither a god who punishes and rewards or gives mercy or imposes test, nor a great savior deity that we can petition or beg for special favors. The mystical view of Amitabha regards it as an eternal Buddha, and we believers that manifested itself in human history as Gautama or Buddha awakened during the development of Mahayana Buddhism. Amitabha translates as Amitofo in Chinese and Amida in Japanese. So most of the people know probably the narrative story of a Bodhisattva Dharmakara. And then this is a kind of narrative story, how the Bodhisattva Dharmakara became Amida Buddha. And once there was a king who was so deeply moved by the suffering of being in the world that gave up his throne and became a monk named Bodhisattva Dharmakara. Bodhisattva Dharmakara was heavily influenced by the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja and then vowed to become a Buddha himself for the purpose to create a Buddha land that would be free of all limitations. Bodhisattva Dharmakara meditated for a long time, right? 5 eons time, and finally made 48 vows. Eventually, Dharmakara achieved enlightenment and became Amida Buddha and established the Buddha's land, Skavati, which is pure land for everyone. Bodhisattva Dharmakara's most important vow is 18th vow, which says on a screen that when I attain the Buddhahood, if people hearing my name, which is Namo Amida Butsu, have faith and joy and recite my name, Namo Amida Butsu, for even 10 times, but are not born in my pure land, may I not attain the perfect enlightenment. This is the 18th vow, is the most important vow, right? But as a result, since that Bodhisattva Dharmakara did gain enlightenment, which became Amida Buddha, it follows that we all have a faith and joy and will recite Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, will receive, has a potential to receive a Buddhahood and, hopefully and fully liberated in the realm of Pure Land. So this next slide shows a Pure Land essentials, Nembutsu, and faith. So facing the screen and left side is Chantal. Chantal is this person, is a Chinese master, Pure Land lab master in 7th century. And he liked a contemplation very much, contemplation sutra, particularly how to meditate on that Buddha and how to meditate Buddha's land. So he even made a commentaries to how to read a contemplation sutra, because at that time, contemplation sutra was very popular in China. And then that Chantal's lesson was descended and succeeded to Honen. So I would say that Chantal's time is, he really focused that action and practice and visualizing the Buddha. That's how we get enlightened. visualization of the Buddha. Visualization of the Buddha, particularly 32 characteristics. Like when you see the Buddha statue and you see a little bun on top of the head, this is the wisdom, right? If you see some tusk between eyes, that really goes around and reach everybody and search everybody's problem, sort of things. So Shantao's understanding Pure Land Buddhism is more focusing the visualizing meditation. And the essence came to Honen. But again, there is a last Dharma age coming in. Last Dharma age is sort of like a Dharma is there, but however, less and less people can do a practice. That means very few people get enlightened, and that's degenerating. So the Honen came out. Visualization is not going to work. So how about reciting the name Namo Amida Butsu? That's probably the most important and essential practice for the people, particularly living in the last Dharma age. So that's how that saying Namo Amida Butsu started also. And then Honen's teaching was carried to Shinran, our founder, Shinran Shonin, founder Shinran Shonin. So talking about the Nembutsu is origination, as I said, is concentration of Buddha and its virtue, and then visualizing of the Buddha, in particular 32 characteristics. Some people can visualize, but some are not good at it. Me is, I don't think I can memorize for 32 characteristics. So if you are not good at it, and people can recite Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, invocation, the Buddha's name is now very important at that time. So no special way of recite the name. It can be done silently or loud or alone or along with a group. You can start saying Namo Amida Butsu. The important thing is chant and recite the name single-mindedly, sort of like a focusing, and while sincerely wishing and aspire to getting the Buddhahood and to receive a birth in the Pure Land. And Pure Land scripture, as you know, is include larger Skavati Vyuha Sutra, which is larger sutra, right? And then also a Contemplation Sutra, and then smaller Skavati Vyuha, which is Amida Sutra. Those are three sutras, Pure Land Sutra. Particularly, the Contemplation Sutra shows 13 ways of meditation to visualize Amitabha Buddha and its land, Skavati, Pure Land. And then talking about the chanting the name or reciting the name Amida Buddha is not petition. A spontaneous chanting, reciting is nothing more than an expression of my thank you and gratitude to Amida, whose vow is working within myself in trusting mind. And Shinran said that true faith, which is sort of your trusting mind in Amida's vow, is necessarily accompanied by the utterance or recitation of the name Namo Amida Butsu. So spontaneously comes out when you hear Namo Amida Butsu. I understand that people who came to the temple first time, people ask us, what are you mumbling? What are you saying? What's the purpose to say that? There's a lot of question. But probably the first step is, okay, what are they saying? Let's listen and then imitate Namo Amida Butsu. And then gradually it sinks within you. Wow, okay. And then just try it out. In a while, maybe that after you get settled, and then Namo Amida Butsu just spontaneously comes out from your mouth. That means your Buddha within you comes out spontaneously. Namo Amida Butsu. And faith is in trusting mind, Shin Buddhists say that the faith and trusting mind in Amida Buddha is nothing, something like we should take the credit for. So the faith is a gift, is given from Amida Buddha, his name and vow, all that, that universal liberation comes from the Buddha, and then I hear and then receive it and appreciate it within me. And Shin Buddhism don't accept the idea that we don't earn merit for ourselves by our own act, neither good or bad, or nor performing ritual help. So in keeping this within a style of humility, very much humility, modesty, and then we hear the Nembutsu and receive it, hear and receive and recite. That kind of cycle goes around. So the popularity is Pure Land teaching drew huge popularity in Japan, studying the Shinran time about 850 years ago, because it's open to everyone in the society at that time. At that time, maybe the Buddhism is only for upper class people, and then they don't care about regular people like farmers and fishermen and merchants. But Honen and Shinran include everyone. And then also women too. Women's liberation was out of question. They don't even discuss about it. But they included women too, So everybody's universal teaching and liberation. That's the Shin Buddhism. So with that, the same reason, I think Shinran's teaching is really present equality, inclusiveness, and gratitude in hearing and reciting the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, having said so, understanding the Pure Land discourse and maybe some of the question you might have it. Number one is this a new understanding Buddhism? I think so. Pure Land Buddhism seems to have moved a long way, very long away from basic Buddhism idea. And it's important to see how it might actually fit in the last Dharma age. And Shinran's teaching is particularly paradoxical sometimes. It might cause a misunderstanding to particularly the person who listened to it first time. But I would say that the Honen and Shinran developed new form and new understanding the Pure Land Buddhism. And Amitabha is treated as if it were God. How do you think? Well, on the surface, probably looks like, but perhaps chanting Amitabha, Amida Buddha's name, is not praying to an external deity, and really a way of calling out one's own essential Buddha nature. And the Buddha, Amida, is not the creator at all. So Pure Land appears to be a supernatural place. On the surface, maybe it looks like, and Pure Land is a really, this is a realm. It's not, Sutra says is a Western direction. Geographically, it resides there, but however, it's actual Pure Land is a land of wisdom, light and compassion in the realm of supreme nirvana and complete liberation. That's the realm. And then reciting the name Namo Amida Butsu can be a meditative practice that enable us to alter our state of mind. So another question is, there is no reliance on the self to achieve enlightenment? Well, I think on the surface looks like, but this is a further development in the direction that Mahayana Buddhism has allowed assistance in the journey to liberation, and then beings still have much work to do when they arrive in the Pure Land in the normal Mahayana Buddhism. I'm talking about after death. But however, Shinran developed unique teaching that people who spontaneously recite the name Namo Amida Butsu has already reached a stage of non-retrogression that guaranteed to attain the Buddhahood with physical death. So it's more important in this life rather than after death. Focus everyday life, and then please listen the message from the Buddha to you, and then we recite Namo Amida Butsu, single focus, and then no need to perform further practice in the Buddha's land, manifested as a final liberation and superior nirvana. So Shinran says, once you reach the person like a Sangha and Nembutsu practice people, and you enjoy, listen to the Dharma, and then hear message from the Buddha, and recite Namo Amida Butsu, you already joined the group, and those people's mind already settled, and you are already set, and you are already reached the state of non-retrogression in this life already. That means really automatically you will receive a Buddhahood at the end. I think that's really Shinran's spontaneous teaching and shifting their Buddhahood from the after death to this life. So, having said so, let's see, I want to introduce a perspective on Nembutsu, Dr. Arthur Bloom. He is also a Shin Buddhist scholar, and then also a Shin Buddhist minister in Hawaii, and then Dr. Taitetsu Unno. As a matter of fact, I met Dr. Bloom one time. He passed away already about several years ago, but he was very easygoing, and I thought he's a great scholar, and he comes with a nice suit and everything, but he came with a flip-flop and then t-shirt and very easygoing. I had a very good dialogue with him, and a great scholar. And then he used to be a Protestant and very devout, but he went to Tokyo working for the, I think, US camp. And then he encountered that Amida's name is one of that a Tokyo Shin Buddhist temple. And since then, he was thinking about, what is Amida Buddha? So he pursued the Jodo Shinshu and Pure Land Buddhism. So let's see how the Dr. Bloom said. Okay, he was a professor of Hawaii University in Manoa College, and then also he was the dean of IBS Institute of Buddhist Studies. So Nembutsu, reciting the Amida Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, is a merely a practice of spiritually weak people, as suggested by the traditional concept of easy practice, which relegated Pure Land teaching to an inferior role within the monastic establishment. Rather, it was a supreme truth of Buddhism for all people, regardless of their social and religious status, ability of other accidental limitations. That's there, his Dr. Blue's thought about Nembutsu. And Taitetsu Uno Sensei, the saying Namo Amida Butsu affirms that this limited self, Namo, imperfect, fallible, and mortal self is sustained by Amida Buddha, Amida Butsu, unlimited, boundless light and life. This Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, is an unified experience coming from the depth of life itself, grabs us and transforms us, enable us to awaken to ultimate reality. As Dr. Uno shared his thought about Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So I will end my discussion class, and then maybe we can open up the discussion for the rest of 15 minutes until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So let me close my presentation class and join me Gasho. And then after that, and you can join the discussion. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you very much. Let me go back to the real view so I can see everyone's face.
And Sensei, I'll stop recording as well so that people freely can speak.
Thank you. This is a free discussion. So anything